Good morning or good afternoon, depending on what part of the country you're calling in from. This is Brian Donahue, President of DMI Marketing here in Boston, Massachusetts. And thank you, everybody, for dialing for today's webinar, which you can see the title there is Do Social Security Workshops Work? And today we're very fortunate to be joined by Fred Boudiette, who's one of our more prolific advisors in this country and has built a huge practice around retirement income planning using annuities and other vehicles. So, Fred, thank you for joining us on today's presentation. A little bit about DMI and myself. My name, as I said, was Brian Donahue. For those of you who don't know us, I'm President of DMI Marketing. We're an IMO here in Boston, Massachusetts, and we provide all the traditional brick and mortar needs that advisors have around annuity and life insurance marketing and sales. But our real differentiator is our marketing, and we'll talk a little bit about that at the end of the call. But Fred Boudiette would be one example of our differentiator. He's a consultant with DMI who works with our advisors all over the country in helping them grow their business and help them with sales marketing challenges. And today, some of his best business practices around Social Security marketing and sales. So, Fred, why don't you say hello and talk a little bit about today's program?
Okay, thanks, Brian. Just some general comments on the Social Security workshops. Any of the Social Security workshop programs that I've seen will definitely get a lot of appointments for a free Social Security analysis. We learned the hard way, though, that that's not the real objective. The real objective is to get appointments with legitimate prospects who want to meet with you to discuss a retirement income plan, with Social Security being an important component of that plan, and who are also open-minded to you helping them to implement that plan. We did a lot of tweaking with an original canned workshop program and worked it until we got it where we wanted it. We now do 5 workshops each spring and another 5 each fall for a total of 10 a year. In 2015, we spent a total of $49,000 for all 10 workshops. That included all of the mailings, room rentals, refreshments, no meals, just light refreshments. And from that, we earned an extra $535,000 in compensation. Prior to bringing on board the Social Security workshops, we were exclusively a referral-based practice. In the first quarter of 2016, we also added another $239,000 in additional compensation from the workshops alone. Okay.
Fred, thank you very much. So, Fred, what Fred has done today for everybody on the call is he's kind of laid out the 11 important steps or processes you will need to engage in order to have a successful Social Security workshop or a series of Social Security workshops. So we're going to go very high level here today, folks, and Fred's going to give you kind of his thoughts on each process. So, Fred, why don't you start with really kind of the beginning, and this will follow a natural progression, and talk about your reservation process.
Okay, actually, it really starts with the invitation. So, you know, we didn't use the original. We took some ideas from the suggested invitations. We tweaked them a bit to get them to work better. We do a wedding-style invitation, and for the last couple of years, we've been following that up. Each group of 5 workshops, after the second between the second and third workshop, we also do a postcard mailing, and that has significantly increased the attendance as well. We do all 5 workshops on one invitation, and then you know, the next component would be how you take the reservation calls. We don't use a call center. I'm not saying that won't work. We just We feel that that's another touch, so we want them to talk to somebody in our office, and it's scripted as to how they take that call and how they make the reservation. But it just gives them another contact with us. And then another key component is the confirmation packet that you send after they make a reservation. So we send out, a cover letter. We send a MapQuest directions from their home to wherever the workshop is being held. And both when we take the reservation call and in that letter, we let them know that the workshop is going to last between an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes. And the reason we did that was because in the early days, we were having people get up and leave early. So, we're telling them up front how long it's going to last so that if they have another commitment or they can schedule another commitment and allow sufficient time to attend the entire workshop. Then we do another call or a phone call the day before the workshop, a confirmation call. And we also, in that call, remind them that the workshop will last between an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes. And then, of course, also important is the content of the workshop. We don't have a lot of time here on this call, so I can't get into a lot of details, but we found that it was critically important to make it crystal clear in the workshop that if they asked for an appointment, they were asking for an appointment to come in to see if we can help them with an overall retirement income plan, with Social Security simply being a component of that plan, as opposed to coming in for just the free Social Security analysis. In the early days when we weren't doing that, we could see them kind of backing off as soon as we started bridging that gap from the Social Security analysis into the retirement income plan. The thing that's in their mind is, why are these people offering a free consultation? What's the trap? And it's when you started moving into the retirement income plan component, you could see them backing away. We make that crystal clear right up front. The other important facet of the content of the workshop is to address the issue of the existing financial advisor relationship. And we don't do that by attacking the existing financial advisor. We do it by simply showing how and why we're different. We're preservation and distribution, not growth and accumulation. We tell them what kind of tools the traditional financial advisor might use in a retirement income plan, the asset allocation model, the 4% rule, and what the pitfalls of that are. And we basically conclude that by saying, if you ended up finding out you needed a sophisticated heart procedure, would you want your primary care physician to perform that procedure for you, or would you require the services of a specialist? We are specialists in retirement income planning and preservation and distribution. So those are I feel, the two most important pieces of the content of the workshop. The basics on Social Security, any of the canned workshops that I've seen will provide that content. Obviously, how you deliver the workshop is critically important, and just coming across as you, just sincere and open, because they're sizing you up. And then the mechanism that you use for the attendees to ask for appointments. We do we use an evaluation form with a couple of questions about, what we could have done better. DMI has the evaluation form, so I don't want to go into the details of that. But it's simple, and it asks for their input as to what we can do better, what we covered that they wanted more information on, that sort of thing. And of course, that's where they can indicate that they'd like us to call them to schedule an appointment. So that's all in there. I know some people have had success with trying to book the appointment or booking the appointments right at the workshop. We found that somewhat uncomfortable for us. So we simply have them ask for us to call them to schedule an appointment. But we do get email addresses so that if it's telephone tag for a couple of days, we'll email them about the appointment as well. And then how you follow up the request for the appointments is critical as well. Timeliness is an important factor. The day after the workshop, they're making the calls to schedule the appointment, and they stay with it until they actually make the connection and get the appointment booked, or they're told by the prospect that they've changed their mind. Another really important piece, if you want it to flow smooth, is what information do you ask the prospect to bring to the first appointment, and how you ask them to bring it. So we do that in a confirming letter. They often will ask whoever's scheduling the appointment, well, what do we need to bring? And usually the answer to that is, we'll send you a letter with details as to what information you need to bring. So obviously, you want them to bring in their Social Security statements, and you need to be specific on that. They need the statements that list their earnings year by year, if you're going to do a proper analysis. Then, you want them to bring in copies of their latest 401k statements, retirement account savings statements, any brokerage accounts, and you know the drill. You just have a complete list so they can bring in all of their financial information, as well as any information on any pensions that they may be eligible for or currently receiving, and that sort of thing. So you want them to bring in a complete package of information so that you got everything you need to work with in designing a retirement income plan. How you handle that first appointment, obviously, is critical. We treat that as, we just let them know that what we're going to do is give them, we're going to take a little bit of time to explain to them how we work here at the Vista Group. And then we're going to exchange some information. And that'll be enough for that first appointment, because it's going to take some time to crunch the numbers and get them the proper information on their Social Security choices, as well as an overview of a retirement income plan. Again, each of these steps, the invitation, taking the reservation for the workshop, the workshop itself, the first appointment, these are all touches where they're evaluating you. They're making decisions as to essentially whether they're going to be comfortable doing business with you. And then another important component is how you handle that your retirement income plan proposal. And those there's no cookie cutter mold on that, unfortunately. So it's a lot of what about this and what about that, and coming up with what really is going to be the best retirement income plan for them, incorporating, of course, the best Social Security choice into that. And then, obviously, how you present that proposal is an important component. And I realize this was, a very brief overview. Each of these pieces, we have detailed outlines, scripts, sample proposals, all of that stuff, and DMI has that available to you to selected agents.
Thanks, Fred. That's exactly correct. If I can interrupt,
No, that's
very
pretty much.
So all of those components that Fred just mentioned are available to select advisors. It's similar to a cookbook and a recipe. Each ingredient, each step in the process, and then everything you need for that process in terms of scripts, materials, handouts, content, information, education, anything around each step, we've detailed both on video and for you to get involved with workshop presentations. Whether you're doing them now and you're not satisfied with the results, or you're thinking about doing them, we can certainly help you along the way, because everything we give to our advisors has been proven, used, and perfected by people like Fred all around the country. Fred, let me just ask a question, because we probably have two groups of people on the call. For anybody who's thinking about this, and we have a lot of people that have been kicking the tires around workshops and seminars, what would be your advice to them if they want to get involved with them, other than obviously hopefully working with DMI? What would be kind of the elevator speech you would give to them around that?
Well, I think, for example, we do a wedding style invitation and then follow it up with a postcard invitation behind it to the same mailing list. Now, I think if I were first starting, because the most expensive component of doing the workshops is the mailing.
Yeah.
I would, for the first couple rounds, maybe, just do the postcard invitation, like a number of your agents are, until they get kind of comfortable with the process, the presentation, and the whole process. Because it's not just the presentation of the workshop, it's all of these other components. And once they develop that comfort level, and most of the people on this call are professionals in the business, it won't take them very long to get there. Then they may want to consider upgrading their invitation process, to include the in-envelope type invitation and possibly a follow-up. Because we've increased our attendance significantly by spending a little extra money on a quality initial invitation and then following it up with, the postcard invitation. What do you need in our business?
Okay.
One
and then Fred, what would
workshop cover that?
Yep. And Fred, what would you say for anyone again who's never done them or thinking about doing them? What should be their commitment in terms of time and money, and when can they expect to start seeing the results? I know, unfortunately, we get people that might do 3 and they don't do them again. And how much time and commitment and money and expectation should they have that's reasonable?
Well, I have to answer that this way. When we first did our first round, our first 5 workshops, based on what we spent and the results that we got from it, I normally would have been inclined to discontinue doing it. But I knew there was something there, and we worked it and we tweaked it. So why would anybody want to reinvent the wheel when they can come to DMI and find out all of the changes and modifications that we made, that cost us a fair amount of time or money. Now it's all done. All they got to do is, is duplicate it. So I guess if I had that opportunity, one, I could have saved myself, some money, and two, I could have been generating a very substantial income much faster from the workshops than I did otherwise.
Okay. And then, thanks, Fred. That's very good. If anybody's currently doing workshops, Fred, and they just don't seem to be getting the results that you're talking about today, what do you typically find the reason is? Is it something overall that generally you hear or see, or is it always different and it's just what is what it is? Is there anything that you typically see with it? Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one thing, if you don't come across as genuine and real, I mean, I don't think anybody can help you with that. But that's not going to be the case with the people that are on this call. The two factors are basing your workshop on come in for your free Social Security analysis. You're going to get recoil from clients because they're in their mind, they're trying to figure out what's the catch, what's the catch, what's the catch. So yeah, you've got to have the mechanism built into your workshop so that they understand they're asking for a retirement income planning appointment with Social Security being a component. And the other big problem is the existing financial advisor relationship. I was surprised, quite frankly, as to how often that, the percentages, probably close to half of the people that come in have a comfortable financial advisor relationship, and they make, in their mind, it's a big problem. How am I going to tell this person that I'm going to go to somebody else to do my retirement income plan? So again, we've worked out the kinks on that. It's not going to work 100% of the time, but it works most of the time.
So take advantage of all Fred's gray hair because he's been able to. I'm kidding there, Fred. You have lovely hair.
It's not gray. It's not gray, Brian. It's white.
It's white. All right. Well, it's distinguished any way you look at it. Anyhow, thank you, Fred. Anybody who wants to take the next step and get involved with Social Security workshops or any type of workshops, as we have other ones here at DMI, whether you're doing them and you'd like a second opinion or you want to do them, they're the next steps there. Call one of us on the screen there. Fred, as always, you're a mountain of wisdom and experience and success, and you're very generous in sharing with everybody both the good stuff that you've been able to do and some of the mistakes you made, and been very humble around that. So thanks again, Fred, for your time, and thanks everybody for being on today's call. We hope to be talking to all of you more in the future. Take care.